Hey, what's going on, everybody? In these videos, I'm going to make a chef's knife. I'm going to break these videos down in a few parts. But I'll start off by saying that I'm not a professional at this, and I wouldn't even consider myself an amateur. I'm still learning, and if you're watching these videos and searching them, then possibly you're learning as well, and hopefully I can go step by step on how I've came across and watched videos and learned of how I got my own techniques to how to make some knives or knife looking figures. But so I have just recently purchased a pellet grill, and I thought it'd be a great time to go ahead and make a chef knife. I have not made one for myself, so I figured I'd give it a shot, and I went and designed one on AutoCAD. I made it not a traditional looking chef knife, but something that would kind of give a cool factor, and that's another reason why I'm using the Damascus. In my opinion, there's a lot better steels out there for your money than Damascus, but it does have that cool factor. Just the designs that come out. We're going to be using ladder pattern carbon Damascus, just a billet of it. So yeah, we'll go ahead and start getting into the process of design and profiling and everything else. Now you can go ahead and get a Sharpie and just draw straight on the billet or steel bar, whatever you have. I used to always basically make a square and measure it out. You know, I would lay my hand out and see how many inches across my palm that I would need. 3.5, 3 3/4, 4 inches is pretty much what I need in my hand. So I use that as kind of a rough measurement of what the handle should be, and then what the blade will be is just a lot of research, a lot of using a lot of different chef knives and seeing what I liked. So I went ahead and made a chef knife out of AutoCAD and printed it out. That's where the tape is coming from. I had to print it in a few different pieces, a little longer than a standard piece of paper. But I've already marked the pattern on the billet, and I've also scribed a line around it too. I doubt you'll be able to pick it up. Probably not, but these aren't waterproof and oil-proof Sharpies, so I always find when I'm working with the steel, this typically always comes off and I end up losing my line, so that's another reason why I scribed it. As far as this knife, kind of what I've incorporated with it, and talking with a lot of other chefs, and I work offshore, and we have chefs that cook all of our meals and such, and so I talked to them, and a lot of them talking about your forward finger choil, or where your index finger is going to set, really needs to be in line with the tip. Provides a lot more control. That's what they're telling me. And I do have a little bit of up swoop and a nice flat portion. That's kind of the design that I picked out and some of the features that I put in it. But we'll go ahead and cut this out and we'll start profiling this out, and I'll show you how I do it. Alright guys, so here we are set up at my bandsaw. Now I've done this with files and hacksaws, and it does get the job done. It does take a lot of energy to do it. It's not real fun, so upgrading your tools definitely helps. It speeds the process up a whole lot. Now I just got a bandsaw set up in a vise, and it's just kind of my setup is what I use, and I'll just take a clamp and put on the trigger to keep it going. So I'll go ahead and start cutting this out. I have the bandsaw set up in low speed if you're doing the same thing. Go go ahead and turn down your volume. This will get loud. As far as safety with all this stuff, I'm not going to get a whole lot into it. If you feel like you should wear gloves, wear gloves. If you feel like you need glasses, wear glasses. That's all up to you. I'm not telling you what you got to do, but you know, all this stuff is dangerous, so do take precautions. So go ahead and start. There we are. Got a lot of the profile. You want to cut as much as you can out just to save you a lot of grinding, but you know, right here it'd take too long with the bandsaw to notch this out. Sometimes I do, but I'll just grind that away. No big deal. Now the throat of my bandsaw is not going to allow me to get this whole blade, so I'm going to have to use an angle grinder and cut that out. But yeah, stay tuned and we'll get this profile done. Alright guys, so the Sawzall did not work. It did cut it, but it was going way too crazy. I couldn't keep an eye on the line. So I just trimmed up that billet a little bit so I could continue using the bandsaw. There's our profile cut out. And now I'm going to go ahead and finish up getting all this straight and all the little burrs and whatnot off. Now I use the bench grinder to do this. I can use the belt sander. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but these last a lot longer, and they're, as far as the price, you're gonna get a lot more money out of these stones than you will with the belts. And there's a few other reasons why I don't use a belt sander for this, but I'll get to that once we get to the grinder itself. But we'll go ahead and start profiling this out. All this stuff is all going to be time lapse, so I don't really think I need to go in detail how to do that. There's the cutting edge done. I got right up to the marking, pretty close. The reason I do that is because I will go back over this with the belt sander to square this off. Obviously this is a wheel, and it's not going to make completely 90. As far as that thickness, I probably don't think it'll make much of a difference, but just my process of how I do it. Alright guys, so we got the profile done as much as I can with the belt grinder. One thing I wanted to point out whenever you're making your chef knife, this really just goes for chef knives, but whenever you're designing this, one thing that you want to make sure is whenever you grab this knife, you have plenty clearance from your cutting edge to your fingers. Now, I might be going off a little off topic here, but like I said, I've talked to a lot of chefs. I've done a lot of research. The best angles, the best grinds, the best position for your hand. And what I've come up with, and what I've been told by a lot of people, is whenever you're holding a chef knife, you're supposed to be pinching right at the handle and where the blade meets. You're supposed to be pinching that. And then you just let your fingers come around. And that's the correct way to hold a chef knife. You're not a barbarian and holding it like this, like you're chopping, and you don't point. Apparently that all causes a lot of fatigue. But if you hold it right, let's see if I can get a view of this. Alright, so if you hold it right by your two fingers and you just let it, your other fingers just come around, you see there, we still got plenty of clearance for our finger. We're never going to hit. Alright, so that's just something I want to point out. If you are going to design a knife, make sure you got plenty of finger clearance. I'm sorry, a chef knife. But another one I've already pointed out is your forward finger choil in line with your point. Gives you a lot more control of where that point's at. Yeah, so now that we got it all profiled out with the bench grinder, I'm going to go ahead and put it on the belt sander and get the final bit. You can see I've gone right up to the line, except for in there where I can't get into, which I'll get that later. We'll go ahead and go to the belt sander. Stay tuned, we'll start on that. Alright guys, so we're going ahead and start profiling this knife on the belt sander. One thing I wanted to point out, I mentioned earlier, is the reason I use the bench grinder for most of the profiling is I've noticed when I do it on the belt sander, you know, I'm putting a lot more pressure on the flat platen, really trying to remove a lot of metal really fast. But what happens when I do that, as you can see in the light, that line right there, that's right where the work rest sits, and that's right where I'm pushing in all the time in the flat platen. And now that is an indention. Now I caught it really early that I was doing that, and I didn't mess up the flat platen at all. If you have the same issue, you can just resurface this. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I actually have a surface grinder, so I could do that pretty easily. But right now it's not a problem. But the point is, if you get that too deep and you're trying to freehand grind, you're gonna run into a lot of problems having divots in your platen. Your grind lines will never be straight. You're always gonna be fighting keeping them straight lines, or you're gonna have a lot of low points and high points just where the belt pushes in with that flat platen. I started off with files, and then I went up to this 1x30, and I actually removed the platen on there because I was doing the same thing there and I just didn't realize it. So let's just keep that in mind. If you are going to use your platen, you know, take it a little bit easy on it. I'll go ahead and set this all up to start profiling. Move you out of the way. I would start off with 60 grit belt. If you can see it, but again, we got a lot of those waves from the wheel. Remember, you always want to keep moving. You don't want to dig in one spot. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set up in the small wheel attachment and go ahead and get these last little parts for this finger choil. Alright, so we got the small wheel attachment set up. We'll go ahead and continue on with the profiling. Basically trying to get right in there, in that groove. And there. Alright, so here we are. We got the profile done. One thing you want to look for whenever you're profiling this, there's a lot of high spots or low spots. You'll see with the light and with your finger that you'll feel it. Kind of where you dug in too far with the corner of the platen or the wheel. You want to go ahead and get all that out now. Go ahead and get it nice and flat, square. That is our profile done. Alright guys, so here we are with the profile done and our template on the piece of steel. Now we are really close all over the blade. We still have a little bit showing on the handle portion, which I'm not too worried about. Once we put the handle on, we'll be grinding that away. On my template I have lightning holes and the handle, which is absolutely retarded. I don't know why I did that. You have that much blade, I don't think that you're gonna need any countering with that, but I could be completely wrong, but I'm not gonna put those in. I got 2¼ inch holes. I'm gonna do removable handles to this, mainly for the reason of barbecue sauce, meat, just food junk. I could take it all apart and really clean everything well. We'll go ahead and start drilling out those holes. I've already punched the centering holes on this and I've marked them with Sharpie. There's a lot of different ways you can drill holes, pilot holes. You can even get a rotary tool and get you just 2 little dots started for your bit. I'm not going to do that. Normally don't have a problem just holding it and just with a center hole punch. I just use an automatic one for this. We'll go ahead and start drilling this out. It's a brand new 1/4 inch drill bit. And if you buy the expensive drill bits and you measure them out, they're typically always going to be a 1/4 inch. But I use these cheap ones. And a lot of the reason I keep on going with these cheap ones, I have some carbide ones, but they're slightly undersized. They're not 1/4 inch true, which is what I'm wanting. So I'll go back with a 1/4 inch reamer and get it exactly a 1/4 inch. Just something I've kind of found out. Alright, 2 holes. What you're going to want to do is countersink these holes a little bit. Mainly just so you deburr them with the heat treat. You don't want 90s all over the place, which I agree with. You do have a lot of stress points during the hardening process. But if you think about it, once you get your profile done, you got it all nice and flat, the whole knife is a 90, all over the place. I mean, obviously we're going to inspect this whenever we're done, but I don't pay attention to the 90s too much. When I'm inspecting, I will, especially in the corners, around the holes. Like I said, I'm new to this and I might be completely wrong with my way of thinking, but it just seems logical to me. Alright, there we go. 2 holes, deburred, chamfered a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and flatten this out. Go ahead and get all these scratches off of it. This portion is going to be the preheat treat. I have a cooling system, the Cool Mist. I know Gavco talks about it a lot, and I ended up buying it, and it does make a world of difference. So now, when I'm grinding bevels, if it's, I don't even really know, 5/30 seconds and above, I'll usually go ahead and grind a little bit, start taking some of the meat away. But anything below that, I'll go ahead and just harden it and temper it, and then just go from grinding a heat-treated blank. And it does work really, really well. But we'll go ahead and set up so we can flatten this, make sure it's completely flat, get all these scratches out of it, just get it ready for heat treat. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and start surface grinding this, getting it all flat and get all the imperfections off of it. My belt grinder is a TW90 from Travis Wertz. It's an awesome grinder. And I have the surface attachment for it. I mean, this makes it just so much easier and true, getting it completely flat. It's just on a magnetic reel and dial indicator, fine adjustments, and just sliding this across. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. If you don't have that, and you do have a 2x72, pick up one of these magnets, stick it right on the blade, right on the flat platen, and then just keep dunking. and keeping it cool, especially if it's heat treated. After heat treat, I will use the flat platen with the bagnet, mainly just so I can make sure I keep it cool. Right now, I don't want to get it extremely hot, but it's not as important as it is after heat treat. So set this up, and I'll go ahead and flatten this out and get all the little imperfections off. I've got a 120 grit belt on here. Just going to make a few passes. I'm not trying to remove a whole lot of metal, just the surface off. Go ahead and dunk this, cool it off. It is going to be hot. It doesn't get near as hot as if you're doing it on flat platen. Yeah, I can see where I messed up. I'll show you real quick. Grind that off. You see right there. I wasn't tracking the belt up and down. I thought I would get it all. So now I got a little lip I need to go back and take off. No big deal, but you can see how clean that gets it. So we'll go back, go ahead and finish that off, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side as well. Get everything nice and straight. Hey guys, so now we've surface ground our chef knife. While we've been away, I went ahead and did this one too. It's also a Damascus. It's out of a different billet, but same carbon Damascus, all out of the same alloys. It's just 5/32 thick. This one will go out to a friend in Scotland. He wants all kinds of stuff out of this, bunch of engraving and whatnot. But I figured while I got the kiln hot, I'll go ahead and heat treat both of these. Now, back to the chef knife. I surface ground both sides, and I left it at 0.10 thickness. And hopefully after heat treating, and I take off all the heat treat slag, I want to get it down to 0.9. A lot of the chef knives that I have and that I've kind of looked at, I've measured them. They're all around 0.9, 0.8.5, something like that. And they're all very good cutters. And I know, obviously, thinner, I can get the stock, once I put the bevels on and get to the apex, be a lot better cutter. So I am going to try to get it thinner. But I have never heat treated something this thin. So hopefully I don't have to worry about a whole lot of warping. I shouldn't, since I'm not grinding any of it. Oops. Put the phone down. Like I said, without grinding any of it, hopefully I don't have to worry about warping. It's still really thick. So this next process is going to go ahead and degrease this, get all the when we use acetone, get all the grease and oils and WD-40 off of it, and we'll go ahead and heat treat it.